Good morning to the dignitaries, invited speakers, delegates, and participants. We render our warm and heartfelt welcome to the two-day symposium on socio-technological aspects of seismic disaster and mitigation 2022, marking the 60 glorious years of the Indian Society of Earthquake Technology.
The event is brought together by the Center for Disaster Management and Research, IIT Guwahati, Northeastern Space Application Center, Assam State Disaster Management Authority, and ISET. Now I request Dr. Abhishek Kumar, the Organizing Secretary, to deliver the introductory speech about the symposium.
Good morning, all the dignitaries and other delegates. At the very outset, on the behalf of the organizing team, I welcome all of you to the two-day symposium at IIT Guwahati. Firstly, I would like to sincerely thank from the organizing team for all the session chairs, speakers, that because of very limited time, we gave the invitation at just maybe 1.5 months back. And most of them have agreed positively, and most of them are here also. So we are really thankful to all the speakers and to the session chairs. Again, we are also thankful to all the delegates who have come from different parts of the country to present their work. Clearly that indicates there is a requirement for offline events. Now we should go back to the normal. This event has been organized to celebrate 60 glorious years of Indian Society of Earthquake Technology. The planning of the event started maybe 2 months back. Our director, Professor Sitaram, it was his idea to start this event. So last 1.5, 2 months, we had lots of meetings, online, offline, and it was really a marathon, but we are really happy to see all of you here. And I'm sure many of the students, particularly who have not attended any physical conference in last 2 years, so this may be the first time event when they'll get to know what actually the conference is, what are the different events. Otherwise, mostly it will be happening as a webinar. Related to the event, actually we have organized bus services from hostels and guest houses to bring students to all the delegates, but I'm not sure because some of them, like it was not communicated, so I'm just telling it once again. Because it was communicated over email, and registration kit is given over to you. So food coupons are also there, and in the end of the first page we have 2 QR codes also. So the first one, using that you can scan and download the proceedings of the conference. Second QR code, if you are not in the hall going across the campus, you can scan it and it will tell you the way back to the venue. So with that brief, I would request dignitaries to come to dais. Maybe I'll start with Professor T.G. Sitaram, Director IIT Guwahati, President ISET, and even the patron of the symposium to come to the dais. Thank you, sir. Now may I request Professor Rajiv Shaw, Director, India-Japan Lab, Kyoto University, Japan, who is the chief guest of the event, to come to the dais. I may also request Dr. S.P. Agrawal, Director, Northeast Space Application Center, who is the co-patron of the event, to come to the dais. I request Mr. Ishiwataru Mikio, Senior Advisor JICA, to come to the dais. I also request Dr. Sudeep Mitra, the chairperson of the symposium, to join us at the dais. It will be very auspicious to start an event by lighting the lamp. So may I request all the dignitaries present on the dais for lighting the lamp. Thank you, everyone. So now I will request Professor T.G. Sitaram, Professor and Director IIT Guwahati, to give the welcome address.
Namaskar. Very good morning to all of you. Professor Rajiv Shah, Director, India-Japan Lab, Kyoto University. Professor Yeshiwatari Mikio, Senior Advisor, JICA, Japan. Dr. S.P. Agarwal, Director, NESAC. Dr. Sudeep Mitra, the Head, CDMR at IIT Guwahati. And all my distinguished friends, colleagues, members of the Indian Society of Earthquake Technology, delegates for this symposium, 60th year celebration of ISET, that is ISET Diamond Jubilee celebration symposium on socio-technological aspects of seismic disaster and mitigation. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, a warm welcome to all of you to Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. This is a Diamond Jubilee Celebration Symposium on socio-technological aspects of seismic disaster and mitigation is being organized at IIT Guwahati. As you all know, ISET is located in Roorkee, and many of the events happen in Roorkee only, IIT Roorkee. But this time, we thought that all of you should visit IIT Guwahati, and is also time at which entire Assam is in a very grim situation because of the floods. Just actually 2 days back, I was visiting the flood scenario in Nalbari. So it's very grim. Just now I was also talking to Dr. Agarwal. He was showing me the satellite map, how much portion of Assam is underwater. Unfortunately, this is a scenario every year. So we generally wake up when a disaster occurs, and then slowly we forget. So the human memory is actually, sort of a blessing for us, because we tend to forget that the hardship goes through. When I went to Nalbari, I saw there is no place where they can grow anything. Maybe this will remain for another three months easily, 2 to 3 months. So they started fishing. So they have learned an innovative way of living, Everywhere you can see people were fishing with fishing nets. I hope this 2-day deliberation, even though it is on a seismic disaster, but it could be any disasters for that matter, Hazards are today, multi-hazards are happening simultaneously. Yesterday we had a very important meeting of the State Disaster Management Authority meetings along with JICA team in my office. So what we identified was, I think we need to look at the community preparedness, which is a key aspect. How do you prepare community for such an eventuality? In this case, this eventuality is not a surprise, particularly floods, because every year it is happening. So I keep telling, every year, and I even tell all my students also in my classes, every year 70 to 80% of Assam is underwater, but our IIT Guwahati campus is very beautiful. I think all of you have witnessed yesterday, not even one road comes underwater. We are only about 20-25 meters away from the Brahmaputra river on southern side of our campus. So that means the mitigation is possible. We need to work together, collectively, because this problem is huge, because a large number of rivers come from Himalayas, particularly Bhutan, and join Brahmaputra river before Brahmaputra takes a turn into Bangladesh as Padma river and joins the Bay of Bengal. Hope these deliberations of seismic disaster will also address the disasters of floods and other issues, because disaster management is one unique thing where the agencies of state disaster management are one and the same. So let me also introduce you today to the Indian Society of Earthquake Technology, which came into being in the November 1962 with the late Professor Jayakrishna as the founding president, and was registered in December 1964 under the Society of Registration Act. Professor Jayakrishna was elected as the first president, and also he was later on elected to be IAEE during the 14th World Conference on Earthquake Engineering at Beijing later on. So objective of our society are to promote research and development in the field of earthquake technologies, to provide necessary forum for scientists and engineers of related specialization to come together and exchange ideas on the important issues of earthquake technology, and also to disseminate knowledge in the field dealing with the scientific and engineering aspects, and to honor pioneering and meritorious contributions of the scientists and researchers in this area. ISET represents India on the International Association of Earthquake Engineering, of which the society is a founder member. President and Vice President of ISET represent the national delegates and Deputy National Delegate in the IAEE Assembly. The Executive Committee of ISET also acts as the Indian National Committee on Earthquake Engineering. President ISET is also ex officio member of relevant committees of the Bureau of Indian Standards, responsible for formulating various codes of practice in earthquake engineering. The society publishes a quarterly research journal, namely ISET Journal of Earthquake Technology, and their newsletter. Society also brings out special volumes from time to time, such as Advances in Indian Earthquake Engineering and Seismology, Contributions in honor of Jayakrishna, and Guidelines for Earthquake-Resistant Non-Engineered Constructions, and also Preparedness for Earthquake, how to prepare community in that direction. Several of our members are contributing extensively to this area. Society basically organizes many symposia, workshops, webinars, and short-term courses related to earthquake technologies from time to time. It has organized 16 four-yearly symposia with Department of Earthquake Engineering at IIT Roorkee, and about 28 symposia and workshops have been organized by the society, including the 6th World Conference on Earthquake Engineering in 1977 in New Delhi. Another flagship program of ISET is organizing the International Conference on Recent Advances in Geotechnical Earthquake Engineering and Soil Dynamics. The 7th ICRAG was actually supposed to be held physically at IISc Bangalore, but we had done that online, and it happened through IIT Guwahati here, and our Honorable Chief Minister of Assam was the chief guest, and he delivered. So Department of Earthquake Engineering, IIT Roorkee, and Indian Society of Earthquake Technology, as part of the Diamond Jubilee celebration, are organizing many webinars during November 2021 to October 2022. So there is one very popular such program is a Geotechnical Earthquake Engineering webinar, which is organized by our Professor Maheshwari. Today, we have all assembled here for celebrating the 60th glorious years of the Indian Society of Earthquake Technology. And we thank the Center for Disaster Management and Research at IIT Guwahati coming forward to coordinate and organize this event, along with Assam State Disaster Management Authority, ASDMA, and also the NESAC from ISRO. So I thank both the directors and the chief of the Assam Disaster Management Authority for cooperating with us to bring out this two-day event. So I'm very happy to see many faces from across India being present here. The current membership of the society, which includes the honorary fellows, life fellows, and members, and the institutional members, as well as student members, is close to about 2,000 plus. The ISET activities are spread all over the country through ISET local chapters, with 13 such local chapters are present at this moment. Centers are at New Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Bangalore, Jorhat, Nagpur, Pune, Amravati, Guwahati, Vellore, and Guntur chapters. Society has 2 student chapters, one at CBIT Hyderabad and the other one at Vellore. So more such centers are being planned at other places, and all those engineers and scientists interested in earthquake technologies who are not the members of the society, I invite all of them to join the society. So we have, for this event, we have assembled at IIT Guwahati. So as you know, Indian Institute of Technology Guwahati is the 6th member of the IIT fraternity, which was established in 1994, so we have completed 28 years. So the academic program actually started in 1995. So initially we started from Pan Bazar in the city of Guwahati, and then later on, sometime in 2000 or 2001, we moved to the campus. But fully functional campus was maybe about 2003 to 2004. So you have seen, it's a very beautiful, lush green, 700-acre campus sitting on the mighty Brahmaputra's banks. Okay, we are not very far away from the river. And I'm very happy to tell you, IIT Guwahati in the last few years has done tremendously well in its research potential as a research university. We are actually in the recently announced, which is in the month of June only, in the QS World Ranking, IIT Guwahati has been ranked as number 2 in India and number 37 in the world in the research citation per faculty, with more than 2,200 publications, more than 2,200 Scopus index papers, with a faculty of 450, something like 4.5 papers per faculty, which is a very large number actually. So I congratulate the faculty, students, and research scholars of the institute for achieving this milestone. Not only in just the QS World Ranking, I think many other ranking also, they are higher up. I will not go into the details. And as you know, state of Assam is the land of river Brahmaputra, the mighty river, and also a lot of blue hills, and then white hills, which you'll see the Himalayas from here. It's not very far away. And it is the gateway of Northeast India, and the government of India's Actist policy would definitely put Guwahati into the limelight. And geographically, this state is extending to almost from the foothills of the eastern Himalayas to Naga Hill in the ranges. And this is a big brother for all the 8 northeastern states. Assam has diversified geological spectrum also, as we know that a lot of disasters are bound to happen here, starting from landslides, floods, which you already witnessed in the recently, and also it comes under zone 5 with lots of faults and fissures, crisscrossing the entire range. Assam experiences a predominant influence of the southwest tropical monsoon, as we have witnessed very recently, with close to 4,000 millimeters of annual rainfall. From place to place, the average rainfall is about close to about 3,000 to 3,500. State is also one of the richest biodiversity zones of the world. Total forest cover stands about 35%, and similarly IIT Guwahati also has about 35% of the lakes and this thing. So I will not come in your, maybe I'll stop here. I extend a warm welcome to this symposium once again on behalf of Indian Institute of Technology Guwahati and also on behalf of the Indian Society of Earthquake Technology. And I hope the deliberations will go well, and you will remember your visit to IIT Guwahati. With these few remarks, I once again extend a warm welcome to all the dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, and to every one of you. Thank you धन्यवाद. जय हिंद. नमस्कार.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. S.P. Agarwal, co-patron, STAS DM 2022 and Director, Northeastern Space Application Center, Shillong, to address the gathering.
Thank you, Madam. Good morning to everyone. Honorable Director of IIT Guwahati, Dr. T.G. Sitaram, sir. He is also President of ISET. Professor Rajiv So, Director of India-Japan Lab, Kyoto University, Japan, Chief Guest of this function. Mr. Ishwatari Mikio, Senior Advisor, JICA, Japan. Dr. Sudeep Mitra, Chairperson of Symposium of Socio-Technological Aspect of Seismic Disaster and Mitigation. Dignitaries of the dais, ladies and gentlemen, indeed it is my honor and privilege to stand before you and talking something about the space technology intervention for disaster management. But before that, first of all, I would like to thank our Honorable Director IIT Guwahati, Professor Sitaramji, for providing NESEC this opportunity to be the partner of this event. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, Dr. Sudeep Mitra, for inviting me. In fact, when we are talking about the space technology interventions for disaster risk reduction, before that we should understand very clearly that we cannot do with the hazard, because hazard is there. Earthquake, it will happen. Day before yesterday it was in Afghanistan, yesterday it was in Nepal. It is happening all across us, okay? But what we can do, we can reduce the risk with the help of various things. It may be with the help of the technology and maybe with the help of the community. So the theme of this event is very, very important, socio-technological aspect. In fact, I have seen people are mainly talking about the technology, but I am sure that during this next 2 days, deliberation will be there that how community help can be provided and how we can take the help from the community at the time of disaster to reduce the risk of the disaster. So space technology, when I'm talking, there are different kind of satellites. Of course, our delegates from Japan are there, and they are aware about the JAXA, as yesterday I have discussed with them during the dinner time. And they are having many satellites. India too have many satellites. Okay, we have satellites for mapping. Mapping during without cloudy condition, we have optical sensors like ResourceSat-1, ResourceSat-2. You know that there are many other satellites also. But whenever there is a cloud, we have the satellite like ReSat-1. And recently we have launched the satellite EOS-4, Earth Observation Satellite 4. This is again a microwave satellite. So whenever there is a cloud, for example, nowadays in Assam where there is a lot of floods are going on, cloudy conditions are there many places. Okay, and we have such type of satellites so that we can map. In fact, Professor Sitaram just now he told about the map which was prepared from our own Indian satellites. So this kind of satellites we have. We too have many other satellites like weather satellite. We call them INSAT 3D, INSAT 3DR, Kalpana 1. These satellites are there. They are monitoring weather conditions every minute. In fact, every half an hour we are getting picture from that, and we are analyzing where is the cloud, what is the cloud condition, what kind of cloud is there, what is the cloud top temperature, what is the outgoing long wave radiation. All these informations are very, very important for modeling the weather, and that is the reason why nowadays weather forecasting is very, very good. Okay, another type of satellites which we are having is the communication satellite. During disaster, communication plays a very important role, and you know that sometimes mobile towers are not working. That time satellite phones are very, very important, and our community should understand how to utilize these satellites phone for during the disaster. Okay. In fact, now there is a talk, you must have heard about the Starlink, that satellite-based mobile service will be provided. I am happy to announce you that in Guwahati we have our ISRO has a GSAT-29 hub, okay, near to airport. And we are very soon, there is a possibility that through some private vendors, we may provide the mobile service through our own GSAT-29 satellites. We too have many navigation satellites. You must have heard about the GPS satellite from USA, GLONASS as well, GLONASS also. Okay, Chinese satellites are also there, but we too have our own navigation system. That is known as IRNSS, Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System. Now, very popularly it is known as NAVIC, Navigation of Indian constellation. Okay, Navik. This is a name given by our Honorable Prime Minister to this, because Navik looks navigation. So very, very good. Okay. So these kind of satellites are there. So we have a satellites, and all these satellites can be utilized for this pre-disaster, during disaster, and post-disaster. Okay. Next one is we are having. So now the question is, yes, can satellites solve all our problems? The answer is no. Yes, they will support, but they cannot solve. So what to do? Suppose, for example, just 2 days before, I got a request from Assam State Disaster Management Authority that we have to understand Silchar city is fully drowned, full of water. Now, where this water is coming? They were surprised to see there is an embankment. There must be some breach in the embankment. So can you map that area? Then yesterday my team has gone there and they are working. So UAV, nowadays UAV or drones, they plays a very, very important role during the disaster. And that we have to understand. Suppose tomorrow earthquake comes. Are we ready for that? Are we ready with are we equipped with the UAVs? I can tell you one very important thing here. If community understood the role of the drone, and not only they understood, see, India is a people of young people. There are many young people, and they are very intelligent also, and they are educated also, I can tell you, madam. It's very clear. They are very educated also. We can teach our community how to fly the drone during the disaster, and they can give very important information. Okay. So drone are very important. And third is the field instrumentation. And in field instrumentation, I would like to mention here the importance of the crowdsourcing. So what is this crowdsourcing? In fact, this is a success story which we have done in 2013 when there was a great flood of Kedarnath, where more than 5,000 people died. Okay? That time Professor Chopra is here, he understands that the Kedar flood, it was really very big flood actually. 5,000 people died. But then we have to map the area. Satellite data is all cloud. Hilly area, microwave data was not working. What to do? Immediately, we call the university people from that side only, those who are living nearby areas of that flood. And we train them. We have developed a mobile app. We have developed a web portal. And we have given them the training that, okay, use this mobile app, click a photo, upload, and send us to us. You will be surprised to know within 1 week we could able to get 6,000 locations photograph what kind of damage has occurred. So what I want to tell you here, the combination, it is a space technology, satellite technology, it is a UAV, it is a field instrument, and it is the mobile apps of crowdsourcing. All these things, integrations are required for disaster risk reduction, for which we are sitting here. So then there are, for Northeast region, actually Northeast Space Applications Center is basically by Department of Space, Government of India. It was established in 2000. And we are having NER-DRR, Northeast Region Disaster Risk Reduction Node. We have a state-of-art lab with HPCs on all these things. We do weather forecasting. We do flood early warning system. We do landslide early warning system, and many more things. As I told you that UAV, we are having a state-of-art UAV. We have different kind of UAV. You must have heard about quadcopter. We have quadcopter, we have hexacopter, we have fixed wing, we have hybrid mode, drones. All kind of drones are available with us. As and when need arises, our people fly there and they map the area. So this is how we are helping the people during the disaster time. So if you go to our website, NER-DRR, just to Google it, NER-DRR. If you Google it, you can go to the operational services and you can see really where is the flood. We are giving 24 hours before and 48 hours before flood early warning system to ASDMA, Assam State Disaster Management Authority, so that they will understand where is going to be flood. What kind of flood? We are having 3 categories. One is the low flood, moderate flood, and third one is the severe flood. So this information we give 24 hours before and 48 hours before. Now let me come to the space technology for seismic studies. So NESEC is also working in various aspects of seismic studies. You must have heard about earthquake precursor studies. I'm happy to inform you that first time long back when I met Sunju Murai from Japan in Delhi, At that time we discussed, and he was working on course, that continuous operating reference stations. They are basically based on that GPS satellites. Okay. And he told me that there is a possibility, you know, that whenever earthquake comes, it is now little bit understanding is there that there are some precursors. And what are those precursors? They are basically TEC. Okay. So this TEC has the total electronic content of ionosphere. There are some changes. This is the some theory is there. So our team at NESEC, we have worked, we have used data from 2012 to 2018, around 150 earthquakes of nearby area, not only India, outside of like Myanmar and all these places. 150 earthquake we have studied using the course station. And we have also thus found that if dense network of cores are there, there is a possibility that some maybe few hours before or maybe 24 hours before, I don't know, we can really tell there is going to be earthquake. Of course, there will be true alarms also, there may be false alarms also, but study is required for that. So this is my first recommendation. Second one is the active tectonic as well as the new technical studies, which we are working at NESEC using the digital elevation models. Different kind of digital elevation models are there. So we are using, and of course we can use UAV for DEM. Then crustal deformation. This is another very important thing where remote sensing plays a very important role. Any crustal deformation can be studied using the remote sensing. Then fourth one, which is also important, whenever earthquake happens, then immediately we need the that rapid damage assessment. Not the damage assessment, this is a very important key of that. Unless we will have a rapid damage assessment, we cannot go for relief and rescue quickly, and we cannot analyze the what is the extent of the problem. So for rapid damage assessment, our experience, NESEC experience is two things work very quickly. One is the satellite image and UAV, and second one is the crowdsourcing. So with this really, and with the help of community, really we can look into the what you call the space technology intervention for disaster risk reduction, including the seismic hazards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Mr. Ishitiwari Mikiyo, Senior Advisor, JICA, Japan, to address the gathering.
Namaste. Good morning. Professor T.G. Sitaram, Director, IIT Guwahati, Professor Rajiv Shaw, Keio University, Dr. S.P. Agrawal, Director, NESAC, Dr. Sudeep Mitola, Head CDMR. Distinguished guests, participants, thank you very much for inviting me to here. It is a great honor to me to deliver a few words at this inauguration session. The theme, socio-technological aspects of disaster mitigation, is a crucial issue to reduce disaster risks. Technology is as important as our Japanese experience shows. As you know, Japan has suffered from earthquake frequently. In Japan, building code is functioning to protect human lives from earthquake. In the case of Great East Japan and tsunami in 2011, the government estimates some 200 death toll caused by earthquake shaking. Considering the scale of magnitude 9.0, I may say the Japanese building code function to mitigate disaster. While we lost over 20,000 people because of tsunami and the Fukushima earthquake, Fukushima accident. Another case is Shinkansen. Bullet train, some 17 bullet trains were running in Tohoku area on March 11, but could stop keeping passengers safe because of monitoring and stoppage systems. These cases clearly show technology could save people's life. However, we should not forget the importance of social aspects. Again, earthquake case in Japan. Before earthquake and tsunami in 2011, local governments distributed hazard maps to all households. Of course, hazard maps include very important information. However, not all people saw the hazard map before tsunami. A government survey revealed 20%, 1/5 of people saw hazard maps. Another case is a warning. The meteorological agency issued tsunami warning in a few minutes after the earthquake shaking. However, again, not all people started escaping immediately. A survey shows 60% people escaped immediately after ground shaking. Professor Sitaran pointed out the importance of community efforts. Definitely community played key role in Japan also. When earthquake and tsunami hit Tohoku area on March 11th, members of community disaster management organizations supported people to escape, closed tsunami gates, managed the evacuation shelters, conducting search and rescue and firefighting, etc. During these response activities, over 200 members lost their lives. But in exchange of their lives, they could save huge number of neighbors' lives. Technology is essential, but we need to consider social aspects also. By using such technology, how local community take actions to save their lives. I hope today's discussions will be useful to reduce risks of seismic disasters further. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad. Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Sudeep Mitra, Head CDMR and Chairperson of STAS DM 2022, to introduce the Center for Disaster Management and Research.
Thank you, Sureka. Good morning to all of you, and very warm welcome here at this conference hall too. Just I have the responsibility to introduce the hosting center, that is Center for Disaster Management of Research. And you see, this new center actually has been established with after a lot of deliberation. Yesterday, some of you, our JICA guests and Japanese delegates were there in the meeting, and Director sir had already described about that. But for the benefit of rest of you, let me just share. If you look at this slide, this shows the process that we have gone through, and we understand, of course, that today disaster management has been considered as a globally full-fledged discipline. And I mean, we have on dais Professor Rajiv Shaw, the flag bearer of the academic paradigm of disaster management throughout the world. So this process actually was going through for some time, but 2020 during the convocation, Honorable Prime Minister actually was delivering his convocation address, and in that address he stressed about the importance of having a center of disaster management here at IIT Guwahati, which is one of the premier institutions in northeastern part of India. So September, as you see that September 21st, he urged to IIT Guwahati, and immediately Honorable Director formed a team, and then By October, we already had a draft in our hand. By November, it was passed through by Board of Governor. By January 2021, Center started. Center started with a vision and also a mission, which is very much clear. And this center is unique in many sense. Unlike the typical department of IIT, where we carry out cutting-edge research, but this particular center is actually having a vision to take the benefit of this research to the field. But at the same time, we also give equal importance to take the learning from the fields back to the lab. In fact, yesterday we had a lot of good discussion with the experts coming from Japan about this particular aspect. As I said, that within 3 months, under the guidance of Professor T.G. Sitaram, a small team, we worked and we could actually start the program, by July 2021. And you see that we have both the program, Masters by Research and PhD. And we have some of the PhD students sitting right here in the hall, also master students. So this particular center has been inaugurated a year back, 12th of July, formally by Honorable Chief Minister of Assam, Dr. Hemanta Biswa Sarma, internet, that he clearly said that I dedicate this center to the people of Northeast and particularly Assam. That actually assigned a lot of responsibility to our center. We are new, but we have the required enthusiasm. We hope that we will be able to meet the hope that Honorable Chief Minister has shown on us. We have done a couple of MOU within couple of months, as you see here, listed. And of course, one of the MOUs is also with India-Japan Lab. And Professor Shaw came all the way from Japan here. And we had a very fruitful meeting at that particular time. As you see that the last one with ASDMA, Mr. Datta is here from ASDMA. Unfortunately for, and also SCS is there, project coordinator. Unfortunately, CEO Mr. Tripathi and Joint CEO Mr. Reddy could not join today because of emergency operation, I think in Kachar, right, through helicopter. So we will be signing the MOU with ASDMA, which is technically ready, probably within 1 week or 10 days. So we had very fruitful meeting and process at ASDMA, as I said that during the MOU signing. And then we had also started an online process with JICA colleagues and professors about a plan that actually we are thinking for Center for Disaster Management to take the leadership in northeastern region of India. It is still in a very preliminary phase, so I don't want to much comment on that particular aspect. But just to give a sense that over the last 1 year, we are actually trying to initiate the activity in the field of research and innovation catering to disaster risk reduction. That's all from my end, and thank you very much for your kind patience.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Rajiv Shah, Keio University, Japan, to render his inaugural address.
Director Professor Sitaram, Dr. S.P. Agarwal, Dr. Ishiwatari, Dr. Sudip Mitra, distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen, dear students, a very good morning. I am indeed, it's a great honor and privilege for me to be here in this inaugural session of this very important symposium, and also which celebrates 60 years of Indian Society of Earthquake Technology. My sincere congratulations to Professor Sitaram as the very dynamic president and all the members of this esteemed body. I'm very pleased to see the topic of this particular symposium, which is the socio-technological aspect. Ishiwatari-san has mentioned in his speech that why this bringing these two things, social aspect and technology, which matters. And it's even more important that we are having this symposium in one of the premium technological institute in the country, which is IIT. So that actually brings even more special significance to this particular topic. I think, yes, many of you are possibly engineer, maybe architect, some of you might be planner, but it's very, very important that how all of our collective efforts reach to the final goal, which is the people and community. Let me bring you back to 1995. That was the year when in Japan we had the great Hanshin Awaji earthquake, or which is more popularly known as Kobe earthquake. In the whole field of earthquake engineering, I think Kobe earthquake was one of the major turning point of not only just the earthquake aspect, but disaster risk reduction as a whole, not only for Japan, but also globally. Why? You know that Japan is considered as one of the leading countries where lots of research on earthquake engineering happens, lots of earthquake-related research happens. But in spite of that, in spite of all the technology, we lost 6,400 people. Where those lives were lost, it's not in the reinforced concrete building. It's the old wooden houses, which were mainly occupied by relatively older generation, more than 65, 70-year-old. Does Japan don't have the technology to retrofit those buildings? Yes, we have. But do people have that much of money where, as I mentioned, that the occupants of those buildings are the retired people more than maybe 70-year-old? Can they afford around $20,000 or $30,000 to retrofit their building? Possibly not. And that was main reason that yes, we had the technology, but still we could not save people's life. So that actually gives us a very good learning that it's not only just the technology which matters, how we bring the technology to the people and apply it on the ground, that's very, very important. Also, when you talk about the search and rescue operation after an earthquake, Japan has possibly one of the most sophisticated search and rescue team, fire brigade, self-defense force, and so on. But what the statistics say is 98%, and I repeat, 98% of the people were rescued either by their family member or neighbors. Only 2% were rescued by the professional search and rescue people. And what does it mean? That people-to-people connectivity, communities network, that really, really plays a very important role. We learned 3 specific types of help from this Kobe earthquake recovery process. One is self-help, to help myself. Another one is mutual help, to help my neighbor. And another one is public help, which is from the government. So this combination of this particular help, 3 types of help, were very, very important. You know, in Japan, schools play a very important role. Usually, when there is an earthquake, we take shelter in the school. Not only just the earthquake, for any types of disaster. And I'm sure that in Japan, in India also, in different cases, like when we have the flood, usually the nearby school becomes the shelter. Now for earthquake, again the Kobe earthquake told us or taught us that we were focusing more on the structural safety of the building. So the buildings were retrofitted and most of the schools were not collapsed due to earthquake. But what happened, there were lots of non-structural damage in the building. And that actually taught us how to fix the furniture, or how to fix the light, or maybe the ceiling fan and so on. So the non-structural safety for earthquake risk reduction became very, very important lessons from Kobe. But then another new aspect also came, that the functional component, like we had the school as the shelter, around 250 or 300 people, they took shelter into the school. But whether the school has the functional capacity to, say for example, very simple thing, water and toilet facility, whether it is there or not, that was a major challenge. So, you know that earthquake happened in January, and that was a very cold time. So many of these shelters were not functionally prepared. And after that, Ministry of Education in Government of Japan, they issued a very new guideline for the functional issues of this type of shelter. So what I'm again trying to point out here is that it's not just the structural safety which matters. Yes, we need structural safety, but we also need non-structural elements. We need the functional elements together, and it needs to be combined together in our risk mitigation plan to make an effective use of the shelter. Ishiwatari-san talked about 2011 East Japan earthquake and tsunami. I worked very closely in a small city called Rikuzen Takata, which is in the northern part. I visited one high school. The high school, the tsunami happened on 2011, March 11. And that high school was retrofitted for earthquake in December of 2010. So just 3 months back. It was a 3-story building, very nicely retrofitted for earthquake. But then the location of that school was only 800 meters from the coastline. So it was directly hit by this whole tsunami wave. It went up to the 3rd floor of that particular building. So the building was a designated shelter, but people could not evacuate there. Where they evacuated, there was a baseball ground of that particular school in the hills, which was just behind that particular school. So the students and the local community, they actually evacuated in the baseball ground. So what lessons does it say? Is that we need to possibly think about multi-hazard component of different types of disasters. Yes, the school was intact. It was not affected by the earthquake because it was retrofitted nicely, but we did not consider about the tsunami risk or the locational aspect of that particular building. And nowadays what we are seeing, the whole risk landscape is becoming more complex, more dynamic, more cascading. So it's not just only one risk. So again, I go back to this particular topic, and again, I congratulate the organizers to very intelligently or very nicely selecting the socio-technological aspect. And when you bring the social aspect, this multi-hazard component also becomes very, very important. My last comment is regarding the risk communication. When you talk about the earthquake risk, you know, in most of the countries, it is a low frequency, high impact event. It doesn't happen every year. Maybe once in 10 years, once in 50 years, and when it happens, the impact is very high, and Professor Sitaram also mentioned about that one. So how we communicate the risk to the people and communities, I think it's very important. I give you an example. I live in a city called Yokohama, which is very close to Tokyo. Yokohama city started a program, it's the city's own program, for seismic retrofitting of the residential building. It's like, as a resident of Yokohama, I have a house and I am entitled to apply to the Yokohama city for a free inspection of my building, that whether it is seismically okay or not. So there are 3 different grades in Japan, level 1, level 2, level 3. So they will have a free inspection, they will tell you your building is suited for maybe level 1, but not for level 2 or level 3. And if you want to make your seismic safety more higher level, these are the menu, and this much it will cost you. So these are the retrofitting elements you need to be doing. Now, to make a building, it's a sort of single 2-story building, fully retrofitted, usually the cost is around 20,000, 25,000 US dollar. Now, the people who can afford a house in Yokohama, I'm talking about before COVID, that if you do a family trip overseas, in one trip you possibly spend around 7,000, 8,000 US dollar with 4 members. So it's equivalent to maybe around 2 of your family trip. But whether the people are eager to compromise or sacrifice their family trip and use that money for retrofitting or not, that's a major question. Even in Japan, even in that type of little bit higher literacy for disaster risk reduction, still we find this challenge that where you put your priority. So I think the same thing applies for many other countries, including India, that one is the applying the element, seismic element into the new building, but more challenging is how we retrofit the existing building, especially how we encourage or convince the house owner to spend their own money for retrofitting. And I still remember my main lessons from Professor Arya. I worked with him from 1999 from Chamoli earthquake. And then in different places in Gujarat, he came to Kobe. I visited to Afghanistan with him, and in many different occasions. And he always said that if the retrofitting cost is more than 7% of the construction cost, people will not be able to provide that. You can spend big amount of money and you can make it, maybe you can provide a good solution, but it is not implementable. So here again, the socio-technological aspects become more important, that we need to understand possibly the affordability of the people. We need to understand the accessibility of the people to the technology, and somewhere the mindset, changing the mindset of the people, and there I think the risk communication becomes very, very important. So I see in the audience there are lots of young students, as Sudeep also mentioned, that we have here masters and PhD students. So I have 2 specific messages for you. Number 1, come out of your comfort zone. You have been trained as a civil engineer or earthquake engineer. That's your comfort zone. But you need to possibly come out of your comfort zone and try to somehow collaborate with similar discipline or like your students with different types of other disciplines and make some new innovation. That's a very, very important thing. And my second message is that we need to go out of the university. How we link the laboratory to the field is extremely, extremely important, that you need to go to the field and learn from the field practice. Don't make a solution just sitting in the university. Most of the time, yes, you can write a paper, you will get your degree, but that will not solve the problem. So I always say that how we turn the so-called last mile into the first mile is very important. You know that we often use this last mile communication, and we think that we have produced something and community is the last mile and we will link that one. Yes, it works sometimes, but not always. And my strong emphasis these days is try to challenge the young people, and also not only challenge but work with them, that how we bring that last mile into first mile, make the mile 0 in the community, try to see the problem and then think that which type of solution you can provide. And there, I think this co-designing the solution is very important, but also co-delivering the solution is also very, very important. And I'm very confident that with this huge youth population, especially in India, and I'm sure ICET has lots of young professionals and young practitioners and young members, I'm very confident that you will be able to break this boundary between science and policy and science and society. So with that strong hope, thank you very much for inviting me again here. And I'm very pleased to see so many young people in front of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I kindly request the Honorable Director of the institution, Professor T.G. Sitaram, to honor Professor Rajiv Shah with the Gamocha. I also request Professor T.G. Sitaram to honor Mr. Ishiwatari Mikiyo Jaika. Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Sudip Mitra to honor Professor T.G. Sitaram. Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Kaustubh Dasgupta to honor Dr. S.P. Agarwal.
Thank you, sir. Now we have a book release for which I request Dr. Srivalsa Kolatayar from IIT Surathkal to release the book and give a brief about it.
Very good morning to all the dignitaries and dear friends. May I request the chief guest, Professor Rajiv Shah and Professor T.G. Sitaram to kindly jointly release the book, please. Thank you, Professor. In 2020 March, when the country went for lockdown, so all of us, faculty members, students and scientists were held up at home. That time at ISET, we decided to have couple of webinars to benefit the student community. So that time online classes or online platforms were not very popular and it was new to many of us. So we started with small, but we received an overwhelming response to the webinars, and for more than 45 countries, we had around 3,000 to 4,000 registrations. We had 10 continuous series of webinars and covering different topics by illustrious speakers, starting from seismology, earthquake early warning, fundamentals of earthquake engineering, seismic hazard, site response, liquefaction, foundation response, seismic vibration isolation, performance-based design of structures, so and so, and engineering preparedness towards mitigating earthquake disasters. So as we had a wonderful response, Professor T.G. Sitaram suggested an idea, why can we have a book volume to disseminate the knowledge. So we wrote a proposal to the Springer and they accepted, and the royalty, entire royalty is being transferred to the society, ISET, and the revenue generated from the webinar as registration fee was redirected to the country's COVID relief fund by Government of India. And we got the book released a couple of days online. It was published, and coinciding with the 60th birthday of Professor T.G. Sitaram. And it's a coincidence that the book is also getting released during the 60th birth anniversary, 60th anniversary of the Indian Society of Earthquake Technology. So I believe that this coincidence is not an accident, but there is a divine, or say nature's intervention, the strong commitment and intention to contribute to the field of earthquake engineering and technology, and through disseminate the knowledge to the community by Professor T.G. Sitaram has manifested or unfolded or flowered into the form of this book. And we are happy to present this book to all of you, and I personally, on behalf of all the editors, Professor T.G. Sitaram, Dr. Ravi S. Jakka, Dr. Vasant Matsagar, and on my personal behalf, place our thanks to each one of you for gracing this occasion and blessing the book. We hope that the book will attract a wide global readership. Thank you. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Now, CDMR T-shirt launching will be done by Professor T.G. Sitaram and Professor Rajiv Shah, for which I request Mr. Chiranjit Das, student of CDMR, to hand over the CDMR T-shirts to Professor T.G. Sitaram and Professor Rajiv Shah. I request Professor T.G. Sitaram and Professor Rajiv Shah to launch the T-shirts.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Kaustubh Dasgupta, Organizing Secretary, STASDIM, to render his vote of thanks.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to the inaugural program of the symposium. It's my pleasure to place the customary vote of thanks at the end of our inaugural session. First, I would like to thank Professor T.G. Sitaram, patron of STA-SDM 2022 and director of IIT Guwahati, for initiating this symposium and giving all the different ideas and navigating through the entire proceeding. Next, I would like to thank Dr. S.P. Agarwal, co-patron STA-SDM 2022 and director Northeastern Space Applications Center, Shillong. Okay. We are thankful to Sri Gyanendra Dev Tripathi, CEO of Assam State Disaster Management Authority, although unfortunately he is unable to grace this occasion, and Sri Vijay Bhaskar Reddy, co-CEO ASDMA of the same organization. Okay. Both of them were unable to come, but we are also thankful to our two colleagues from ASDMA who have been able to come for this occasion. We are grateful to Professor Rajiv Shah, Keio University, Japan, for coming all the way and enlightening us on different aspects of disaster mitigation and its impact. We have Mr. Ishiwatari Mikio, Senior Advisory, JICA Japan, and other colleagues from JICA. Thank you for being with us today here. Among our sponsors, we have Indian Society of Earthquake Technology, Assam State Disaster Management Authority, and Northeastern Space Applications Center, who have sponsored and helped us immensely in conducting this entire event. Among our co-sponsors, we have Pinnacle Geosystems, BISS Instron, then Seismic and Structural Consultant Private Limited, Pasighat. We have Nahata Buildcon and Consultancy, Tejpur, and Kaushal Sharma, Tinsukia. Thank you all for helping us to go through the financial matters regarding the symposium. For webcasting this inaugural session, we are thankful to the Center for Education Technology, IIT Guwahati, and all other sections of IIT Guwahati who have supported and cooperated with us for carrying out this event. Okay. Finally, we are thankful to all our dignitaries, delegates, our colleagues and students for being us here and helping us to inaugurate the symposium. We look forward to having an enlightening and enriching session with all of you. Okay? Thank you all.